Hey, what's up, race fans? We're RaceSpot TV, and we are 4 years old today. Even though we should be out having ourselves a little tipple, we're still here with the Porsche iRacing Cup from Circuit Park Zandvoort. Next.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
Welcome to Circuit Park Zandvoort and week 10 of the iRacing Porsche iRacing Cup. We are not far away from getting ready to go racing here at this track, the home of motorsport in the Netherlands. Will Vincent, Connery, and Maddock here on RaceSpot TV. My screen's gone black, so let's show you the forecast for the moment. And well, Connery, it is going to be a very quick race here today at Circuit Zandvoort. 30 minutes we're looking for in terms of racing.
Yeah, 30 minutes, 17 laps are going to be logged here at Circuit Park Zandvoort as well. This track used to play host to the Dutch Grand Prix all the way up until 1985. And it's one of those tracks I wish was back on the Formula 1 calendar. It's a fantastic track to drive as a driver, maybe with the Porsche regulations, maybe not so much, but qualifying pretty much in the books right now. We're looking to get racing for that there.
Yeah, and we've got nothing to show you, so give us a moment. Hey, we're 4 years old, but even sometimes our systems go down. We'll be back in a minute. Oh, and no one heard anything you said, sorry. I told you this was going to be a fucked up broadcast. Oh, I just swore, sorry. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that. We had a couple of failures, shall we say, all in one row. Here is a look at your starting grid then, hopefully, for tonight's event. And there you'll see Alejandro Sanchez, front row of the grid. Martin van Loozenorde in second place. Jenny Heikkinen in third. And then you got yourself Anshane Given in fourth place, cycling on back. And well, Connery, this has the opportunity to be a pretty cool race here tonight.
Yes, it is, and well, we've seen these Porsches many times before. We had it, we had them as the support race, so one of the support races to the World Championship Grand Prix Series. So we know how these guys race. It's very frantic. Sometimes the bumpers come out, but in another way, it's going to be absolutely brilliant.
You're going to be one of those other drivers that's telling me we need to bring back the Super Cup. We are in the process of considering it, ladies and gentlemen. So the Super Cup is likely to return. Meanwhile, the engines, they are getting ready to rev here at Zandvoort. It's actually one of my favorite racetracks in the world, I will say. This track is one that requires you to be on it every corner of every lap. We now got pretty much your full field here. Engines are a revving. And we should be ready to go in just one moment's time. In fact, those engines are now revving. Let's get ourselves ready for the green flag here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. And here we go. Don't forget, turn number one is parabolic. It means the outside line can work better than the inside line. And that is exactly what Alejandro Sanchez was thinking about there. They still go too wide in towards turn number four. And, well, Connery, actually, Martin van Loozenorde was able to get the jump behind, however. It's all a little bit bumped up. We've got a car turnaround as well. That is a driver of Boris Bolstra.
Yeah, multiple cars turned around as well. Aurelian Vacheri as well.
Spolstra's upside down. Sorry about that, Connery. Spolstra upside down. That's his race done.
Yeah, that's when you end your race upside down, that's usually not the way you want to be ending it. But at the front, things are interesting as well. In fact, they are currently inching side by side for P number 2 right now between Sanchez and Guven here, coming up through turn number 9 of Vodafone. Guven has to go around the outside here, but the track is wide enough to facilitate that, and will have to drop back behind. But the reason why that Sanchez has been put in this position right now is he had the outside line. The pole position has the outside line coming down into a turn number 1, and they had a terrible start as well. So it's just a couple of issues at the start of this race that's put him back.
We've got 2 cars off down at the Audi S. That is Mark Mortimer, who's been turned around. Oh, there's another crash behind as well. That's Joshua Anderson. Anderson, who started oh so well. What a crazy start to this event. And I want to get a replay because I think that incident there was a case of, come on, guys, make sure if you're going to come back onto the racetrack, you get back onto it properly.
Yeah, exactly. That was all instigated by the number 7, just taking a little bit too much of a dive into the back of Joshua Anderson there. And just as you say, as they try to rejoin the track, things just go from bad to worse with John Bonter and Gunther Talsdellen as well, getting themselves involved, as well as Jaap August. So the vast majority of the bottom half of your field have seen some sort of contact, and there's even further contact in the preceding couple of corners as well between Borges and Anton Munn as well.
Yeah, you know what? I thought there's a lot of contact at the start of the Bath first 12 hours that we showed to you just a few days ago, but this is just about as crazy right now. We go on board with the driver in second place. This is the driver of Alejandro Sanchez. The top 3 drivers currently on the left-hand side of your screen. Live timing and scoring will be available in just one moment's time. But van Loozenorde, he withstood the early onslaught, but you can see he's locking those left tyres as they work now down towards the Audi S. And while these Porsches, we know these cars are a bit of a handful to drive, Connery.
Yeah, they are a bit of a handful to drive, but in a short race such as this, you can afford to drive them a little bit more aggressively, as you would otherwise see, like in the Bathurst 12-hour event. No point in tyre saving around here with a sprint race of 17 laps and with 3 other angry cars behind Martin van Loozenorde. So I'm not surprised that he's locking up the brakes.
Yeah, and I've literally just forgotten how to spell the word Porsche. It's okay though. Live timing and scoring is available. Boom! Now you can view it Racesport TV /timing. So that was Alejandro Sanchez there in second place. We're having a look on board of him. There are battles going on behind as well. As we'll just bring that tick along the top half of your screen. Christopher Romero versus Danny Cruz is going on. And you've also got Cedric Bolin in that battle right now. The pack has fragmented quite quickly early on. That's because of a couple of these early incidents. But Romero is right now on the rear of Danny Cruz as they head themselves now up what I think is the hardest part of this racetrack.
Yeah, exactly. This long right-hander of Shiviak here downhill turn number 6. The elevation change just makes the car not want to grip through what is a very high downforce dependent section, and it's very, very tricky to get your line right coming all the way through here. But coming into Renault now, this is where you can make moves, but Romero just completely balled that one as he's going to have to be careful there. Actually, he's going to head into the barriers, and that was a mess.
Yeah, it was, and it kind of sums up a bit of the racing here today. We're just going to have a look at a replay from up above our aerial coverage brought to you by And1 Design. Thank you so much for helping to make this 4 years worth of fantastic racing on Racesport TV, and that was just a silly move there, Connery.
Yeah, I'm not sure why he came back across the track like that. He had the better entry coming into the corner. There's no reason for him to come across towards driver's left-hand side of the track, take a worse line coming into the next turn, even though Bolin had really no opportunity to try and get himself past. That is just a stupid move.
You can get social this on Facebook /Racesport TV, at Racesport TV on Twitter if tweeting is your thing. Alejandro Sanchez then, second place in a 4-car train. Interesting to note that Guven and Joni Heikkinen are still there in that mix, and you've got to keep an eye out on Joni Heikkinen, who is 4th place in line as they go side by side ahead of him. Oh my word! That was a huge bump there from Sanchez over Guven.
Yeah, absolutely huge coming out of what was going to be turn number 3, and a little bit of wheel arch damage to the right front of Guven here. Heikkinen goes very deep on the brakes coming into Shivak. Has to take the ultra outside line here, drop himself a couple of tenths of a second off the back of the pack. But these top 4 cars, they're really going at it. Heikkinen has to be careful not to push wide coming through there, but he does get the car slowed down. He's just got to get himself back into the rhythm and lock himself back onto the back of this top 3.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing that Heikkinen wants to see. Was behind. We've got ourselves Gil versus Montana right now. Of course, that number 7 machine involved in issues early on today. Number 7 Club Iberia machine. It's a club compatriot with Joaquin Hernandez Gil currently in 9th place here on tracks. We've got battles going on inside your top 4, battles going on inside your top 10. There's a lot of tyres coming clear down at the Audi S inside of your top 4. When does Heikkinen just say, screw it, I'm going to go and I'm going to try and get one of these positions?
Yeah, that's the question now we have to be asking. Does he go early? Does he go late? I think he's already had his early attempts, and they haven't worked all that well for him. He's actually dropped 1 position on his qualifying position, and you know, we saw his mistake coming down towards turn number 6 as well, pushing a little bit wide. He's struggling for traction coming through the first sector as well. So I'm not exactly sure what the plan is for Heikkinen at this stage. Is he just going to wait for the cars ahead of him to start battling, to drag him back into it and stick his nose in some point later on in this event? Or does he just try to go for everything right now?
Guven got a good run there through Hugenholt's corner, but he couldn't get the acceleration. Of course, there is damage already to the front of not only this, but a number of cars on this Friday night primetime broadcast. So you can see damage to the front right then of the driver of Guven, and that is going to affect him quite a bit of this track, as here comes Heikkinen behind, now right on the rear of Guven, down through Melbourne corner into Renault corner.
Yeah, but there's just no opportunities presenting themselves as they try to take their alternate lines coming through this slow speed middle sector here, and Guven's going to come under threat now from Heikkinen is on the run down towards the Audi S. And does Heikkinen go for the move here? No, he's just going to back out of that one, just bide his time for perhaps the next couple, and that's for a more obvious opportunity to try and get himself past. As this front pack is sticking together quite well, so there's no risk of him dropping back off of this pack at all. He's just biding his time and just waiting for a better opportunity.
We've got to give a shout out to the guys behind as well. Danny Cruz in P number 5 right now, Cedric Bullon in P number 6. These guys have gained 6 and 7 places in this race respectively. Good heads-up driving by both of them early on when a lot was going on around them.
Yeah, it really was. It was absolute carnage back in the pack in those early laps, but these are the two drivers that managed to get themselves through relatively okay. The front four drivers didn't really have to deal with it. They were ahead of all the incidents, but these drivers behind, they had a rather exciting first couple of laps. As looking even further back through the field, you still have a battle pack fighting for around about P number 13. Cameron Dance versus Borges versus Joshua Anderson, and these were the drivers involved in those early incidents.
Yeah, as we have a look from the rear of Cameron Dance versus Yao Borgs. Right now, you've got an Australian-New Zealand driver versus the New Jersey driver of Yao Borgs right now, as they were side-by-side coming down towards Hugen Holt's corner, but they are now once again all in single file. Joni Heikkinen, though, right behind the driver of Given as they come through Vodafone corner. You need a good run out here, and Heikkinen doesn't get one on the run down into the Audi S. And I think that's been the thing for Heikkinen. His on-throttle traction has not been good here today.
Oh, and Sanchez is so locked onto the back of Van Loosenholt there. He was absolutely riding his bumper coming through the Audi S's. We'll have to wonder if it did actually give him a zero exit. Towards the inside contact with the race leader. Loosenholt around, collects the cars behind as well. And oh, that is an absolute mess. Heikkinen's going to capitalize on this one. So is Sanchez getting P number 2, but that's two very wrecked race cars.
It's not often we see, in fact, the last time I saw a wreck at the front as big as this was in a Skip Barber 2K World Cup race a few years ago. But the thing is, for the driver who was in third place at the time, there's absolutely nothing he can do. Let's ride this one on board, if it's possible, with the driver of Given right now. He's third in line at the time he exits the Audi S, and let's listen in. Nowhere for that number 2 car to go at all, Connery.
Yeah, absolutely nowhere. And the instant that instigated Sanchez dived up the inside, there is no gap there. There is no gap for him to be able to make the pass here. He can possibly try to scare the driver ahead to try to take the outside line, but I don't think the driver ahead Loosenholt is going to just give that position away easily. And again, it's one of so many silly moves that we've seen so far this race. Yeah,
and let's go on board then and have a look at the driver of Alejandro Sanchez. Late is the one word I'm going to say there. Late.
Yeah, that is just 100% indefensible, I think. And Sanchez, he's lucky to still be out there on track with what is a relatively clean race car, and Loosenholt out of this event. He's the driver that's just been most hard done by this.
Yeah, and Loosenholt is going to be one of the 3 retirees so far of this event. Boris Bolscher we saw out of this event on lap number 1. We never really had the chance to talk about it. But a driver of Bolscher's caliber, who is the number 5 car coming into this event, you know, I think he was looking forward to a good race, and to have that go so early really must have annoyed him.
Yeah, it really must have started inside that top 10 looking for a good result. It's a driver that we usually see, actually we did see in trying to qualify themselves into the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Unfortunately, they didn't manage to get it, and now they're going to lose a whole bunch of iRating by finishing right at the bottom of the field. 126, apparently, according to JRT. That is a huge loss. Wow,
that's going to be huge for him. Manuel. Meanwhile, we've got Bolin versus Myworm going on right now. This is for P4 on track, on board with the driver of Myworm, and it's the driver of Bullen ahead of him. But we turn that camera around, you've got to pay attention also to Marek Motoner. And Marek, of course, has been in a couple of incidents here today. That number 7 car now looking to get back into the top 5.
Yeah, and you just got to look at how many positions this group has gained over the course of this race just by keeping themselves clean. As Monster does go look for the inside coming into Vodafone, but is a little bit tentative about it and does manage to almost make it side by side off the corner. And will we see a defensive line from Mayweather here coming into the Audi S's? Monster's going to commit to the inside for the first apex, but he'll give him the outside for the second apex. Careful not to make contact coming through here, boys, and Monster is just going to lose out there.
He does, but as we have a look from the rear, what's going to happen? Nothing. Into Kumabot and then Ari Lowendijk corner, the final corner on track. The thing that's worth noting on that final lap play, Connery, as we're already 8 into 17 here, is that you can get a fantastic run on the outside And I think this is exactly, actually, it's not going to be outside. It'll be inside then for the number 7 machine in toward Tarzan corner. Number 7 machine gets a position, but under most circumstances, the outside line can actually find an advantage if needed. And also, my one putting the pressure back on into Hogan Hoytsburg.
Yeah, the main reason for that is you can carry so much momentum because of the camber on that outside line through turn number 1, so it's going to benefit you on exit. But the thing is, if you've already lost the corner by the entry in the middle of the corner, then you know that exit speed could possibly set you up for a run to turn number 3. But it's very difficult coming through that first sector because of how narrow the track is and how little racing room there is. So it requires a very brave driver to make a reply pass coming up into turn number 3. We might see that on the final couple of laps if drivers are brave enough.
Yeah, as that battle has calmed down. Actually, it's not really calmed down at all, to be fair. What are we talking about? 4 tenths per second is the gap. The closest battle we have on track, except for this one. David Haynes versus Cameron Dance right now. And this is the battle for P11 on track. And Cameron Dance is going to head himself out of Vodafone corner. The run down towards the Audi S, and nothing for him right now. And we're into that phase of the race, even though this is a short race, that guys, I think, are starting to think about, okay, preserve the tyres until the last couple of laps.
Yeah, that's what I think they're thinking about, as well as ahead. There was a bit of battle in between Goiva and number 2 car and the 14 of Gilles as well. But actually, they did swap positions in the way into the final couple of corners, and Goiven's already pulled out a couple of tenths of a second over Gilles, but Gilles trying to hang in there. As there's a huge amount of brake smoke coming down into turn number 1. That's how much these drivers are absolutely trying to get every single ounce of brake performance out of that coming down towards turn number 1, and well, they don't really have tyres to worry about because of this race being so short, but it could be a factor at the end.
On board with Gil. So that's the battle going on right now down in P7 and P number 8. Heikkinen, by the way, he has lost a couple of tenths per second of that race lead over Alejandro Sanchez over the last couple of laps. Let's have a look. And you notice that Sanchez, that last time by, gained 3 tenths over Joni Heikkinen. So Heikkinen is not clear and out of the woods just yet, because Alejandro Sanchez, number 3 machine, is hunting him down.
Yeah, that is definitely one word for it, and that gap, I think, is going to be relatively stagnant unless time come across the line. I think Heikkinen has replied on this lap as he's off onto the grass coming out of the final turn. That's not going to help things. As we look at the gap this time by coming across the line, it's gone up a little bit. So Heikkinen has replied, but the thing is, you can see how much he's pushing by how much track he took out of the final corner.
Yeah, we're looking at a replay on board right now, and he was so close. 2 wheels, half the car off the track on the run down into Tarzan corner. That could have been disastrous there for Joni Heikkinen. As behind, we've still got 3 drivers battling for 2 spots inside your top 5. You got yourself at the front of the train. Cedric Bollen from Club Benelux in 5th place. Marek Motinar in the Iberia number 7 machine. And then we have got ourselves the driver of Johannes Mayerworm right now from Club DX. And these 3 drivers seem equally matched here. I think it'll come down to who doesn't make a mistake in the last couple of laps here, Connery.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. There's a huge lockup coming down in towards Vodafone for Danny Cruz, who's at the front of this train. And it's been an absolutely fantastic effort for him to get himself on that final step of the podium. Number 22 car in this entire field. So he's technically the lowest rated driver in this entire field, running P number 3. That's a fantastic result so far for him. Let's hope he can hold it. Yeah,
indeed, sir. As they'll come down once again through the Audi S on board then with the driver of Marek towards Kumobot. I love these corner names here. Arilandite corner then coming up next, as through the corner they go. 4 tenths per second is the gap. But the thing is, in dirty air in one of these Porsches, Arilandite corner can be so difficult. You see the counter steer there by Marek as he comes down the start-finish line.
Yeah, man, as a result, he's going to drop at least a tenth of a second coming down through there because, as you say, even though these are GT cars, of course, not GT3 cars despite the name, but still GT cars, they, you know, they don't suffer as much from dirty air issues as prototypes or open wheel cars, but it is still a fact that you have to consider coming through the high downforce sections, but through these low speed sections, it's absolutely no issue. All mechanical grip requires coming through here, and then down towards turn number 6, again, it relies on downforce of the car, the high speed traction coming through here, and you really can't make moves up into here unless you're very, very brave indeed, as they will just stay single file coming through here.
Is it bad though? I've only just noticed that both the Häkkinens are in here. Joni Häkkinen is leading the race. Jon Häkkinen is bringing up the rear of your top 10. Currently in a battle with Christopher Romero, and we classify these cars as, well, on the 12 hours of Bathurst, as GTPs, aka GT Porsches. They are technically referred to as GTCs, GT Cup cars, as they'll work themselves now through Vodafone corner once again. Jon Häkkinen gets a good run there out the corner over the driver of Christopher Romero. Good to see two brothers in the same race.
Yeah, it is absolutely fantastic to see, and well, maybe there'll be a little bit of a rivalry between the siblings, but the Joni rather than the Jon is currently the one that's absolutely dominating this race at the front so far, but he's still being chased down by Sanchez. As looking back towards the battle between Bolin and what is going to be, just help me out here, Will.
I think he's just had a moment. I was just looking at a replay, David Haynes losing a position, but then Cedric Bolin has just fallen down. Oh, he lost it all by himself there, down on the entry to Arrowline corner.
Yeah, exactly. That was a very weird incident. Coming through the penultimate corner, does push wide onto the gravel, gets 2 tires in the gravel, 2 tires then in the grass and on the painted line as well, and that car just absolutely just swapped ends. Nothing Bolin could have done. Ironically,
this corner is named after one of the most famous IndyCar races in Europe. However, if that was an IndyCar track, he would have been right into a safer barrier.
Yeah, he would have been, so maybe he's a little bit thankful that there is a little bit of the grass, a little bit of gravel on the outside of that corner to get himself spun back around. Of course, you'd prefer if it was a Tilkedrome and it was concrete runoff there, and wouldn't have to deal with the paint being completely ripped off by the sand. But there we go. Looking back towards P number 3 though, in this train behind Danny Cruz, Montana, Mayuem as well. They're still trying to scrap, but we haven't seen much side-by-side action. It's just they've been searching for the gaps, trying to look for those alternate lines, but nothing really has been happening. Yeah,
although Marek Mottner had a horrific run through Vodafone corner that allowed Mayuem to close up a little bit. He held on a run down into the Audi S, but I'm thinking that maybe, and we saw this in the Supercup a little bit, Connery, Montana has just overcooked his tyres in the early part of this lap with 4 to go.
Yeah, it could well be. We'll keep a close eye on lap times this time by a 1:39 flat for Cruz and a 1:38.8 for Monster. So he is 0.2 of a second faster, at least on that last lap. He was faster on the previous lap to that as well. So Monster still has the pace in that machine. He just isn't able to find any way by. Cruz has been defending relatively well for this well-deserved so far P number 3 position. Can he hold it for another 3.5 laps?
Well, we're having a look at them as they come up the hill then. Through Slotemaker corner. Towards Slovak. I say also the hardest corner, as I said, on this racetrack. Here we go, back on board then. Morton, if you're going to have issues with your tyres, you know it's going to hit you there.
Yeah, exactly. You just have a catastrophic loss of grip coming through that particular section if you have abused your tires a little bit too much. But Montana is still hanging in there, still looking to drag himself up to the back bumper of Cruz. But as he gets a slide out coming through Vodafone turn number 9, that's not going to help him with his run down towards the Audi S's, which is one of the overtaking zones on this racetrack. So he's going to have to stay behind yet another lap. But more laps are quite hard to come by at this stage. Yeah,
and of course, that is a teammate of Martin van Loozenhoorn ahead, Danny Cruz. And of course, we know Martin van Loozenhoorn is now classified as out of the event. So Cruz looking to do a little bit of good in the final corner, a couple of laps here as we tickle down the laps. Häkkinen, by the way, has now got a steady gap of 1.1 second over Alejandro Sanchez. Sanchez not coming anywhere anytime soon.
Yep, as all down into turn number 1, and Montaner goes for the move, but the door is completely shut by Cruz coming down to turn number 1, and here comes Mywim now. This is his chance to pounce in the final couple of laps of this event, but the thing is, no good run coming out turn number 1 for him to make things side by side in towards 3, and this can also bring Guven back into things if they fight a little bit too much here in the final 2.5 laps that we have.
Yeah, and the thing is there for Crows, he needs to be side by side in towards turn 2 at the latest to have a run down the inside at Hugenhoit's corner, as these three are still pretty much line of stern right now. Battling for the final position on the podium by the looks at Maywam again getting close on the run now down into Renault corner. Vodafone corner is coming up next, but Maywam, I think he just needs to be a bit adventurous, shall I say, and just try and sling one down the inside. Tries to upset the apple cart more than doing a dive bomb.
Yeah, I think so too, and he's running out of time to do so. Next time across the line, they'll have 2 laps to go. Looks for the move into the LDSs, but look who's on the back of this one now. Given has really closed up that gap. Now it's a 4-car fight for the podium. With
2 laps to go at the line, and of course, Ayan-Chan Guven was in the top few at the start of this event, but was involved in one of those big incidents we've had here. So the number 2 machine on board him. You can see the damage that has been caused to the front end part of that car all the way across here, but in towards turn number 1 again. A lot of tyre smoke there by Maywam, and I think that's more than anything else just because of the fact that he's locking up those brakes to avoid running into the rear of Danny Crows.
Yeah, man, he's pushing so hard. He really wants that to be on that final step of the podium instead of being on no step of the podium, as so does Maywam behind, and so does Given behind as well. So this will be very interesting. This is the penultimate lap though, so final lap the next time by your race leader. Has a comfortable gap to second place, so that is not worth talking about. All the racing is going to be here for P number 3. Yeah,
P3, P4, P5. And P number 6 up for grabs. You have still got, actually, Johan Heikkinen is at 1 position in the Red Star Racing car. He is challenging Christopher Romero right now, and this is for 8th.
Yeah, but here it is. Oh, Montana's had a big off there coming down towards Vodafone. That was absolutely huge, and Goivan now is going to have the opportunity to try to overtake Maywam coming down into the LDSs.
Yeah, Mortner has been disqualified by the looks of it then.
Oh, there was contact coming down into the LDSs from Maywam and Given here, so they are absolutely going hammer and tongs at it on this penultimate lap here, and this is giving the chance for Crows to try and get himself away. But yeah, you're right, I believe that that driver has been disqualified.
Yep, so on board then with Guven, looking now for maybe 4th place, because Danny Crows has got a second advantage almost now over Maywam, but Maywam under pressure towards turn number 1, Tarzan corner. If you're going to be brave, now's the time. Here comes down the inside. Number 2 machine then of Guven makes a pass happen through Tarzan corner. Now the run down into Hugenhoit's corner, and I think that Guven has it for now.
Yeah, for now, but this isn't over. Still more overtaking opportunities that can present themselves to Maywam right now, and I think Crows is just about okay at the front of this pack to take P number 3, but he just has to drive cleanly until the end here. And Guven, saying that though, Guven has really just aced this first sector, and he might have a chance coming through the final sector if he can absolutely nail this middle sector as well.
Yeah, on the run now towards Renault corner. It's going to take, he needs to be perfect through here, perfect through Vodafone. He's not quite close enough yet, though. He dives down to the inside. He closed the gaps a little bit more. This might well be a big lunge down to the inside into the Audi S. But Guven then, what can he do? About 5 corners to go, nothing. For the run for the corner, he's faster, though, over the racecraft car. Can he do anything maybe into Kumo box? We've seen incidents here already today as Joni Heikkinen will claim victory. Heikkinen is your winner, but behind it's going to be close between Guven and Maywam, and it looks like that Guven has got it then. He's up into P number 4. It's going to be a run to the line, and look at that!
Look at that, and Cruz does manage to secure P number 3, but he had to really fight for it. He had to push Guven all the way to the pit wall there. That was brilliant.
Yeah, on board then with the driver of Guven. You can see car coming behind him. And then side by side at the line. Guven, unfortunately, well, for him, misses out, but that was a fantastically close finish. That's what you often get here at Circuit Zandvoort. There we are. Down towards the start-finish line, down to the inside will go the driver of Guven, but he's not able to make it at the end.
Yeah, not able to make it at all, and the whole situation that meant that they were side by side coming across the line. Good run for Guven coming through the penultimate corner, and a very good entry to the final corner, taking that wide line, getting the momentum off the corner. But the thing is, it just wasn't enough, and some say that what Cruz did might have been a little bit naughty. But the thing is, it's the run to the line on the final lap. You'll do anything to hold position.
Yeah, let's have a look at your final race result, shall we? Here, from what has been a fantastic race at Zandvoort. Here we go. Joni Heikkinen claims victory then by only 7/10 at the line over Alejandro Sanchez, but that's enough. He claims victory. Sanchez in second place. Of course, Sanchez involved in an incident early on this event, controversial, shall we say, with Martin van Loozenhoorn. Danny Crow's in third place, and then Aya Chan Guven in fourth place, missing out at the line by 5/100ths of a second. Johannes Meinwein then coming home in P number 5, with Jackie Hernandez, Gil in 6th, Christopher Romero in 7th place, John Heikkinen in 8th, Cedric Bullen in 9th, and then Joshua Anderson rounds out your top 10. There are the remainder of your results. Martin van Loozenhoorn, P number 20 here today, Connery.
Yeah, definitely not the race you would have wanted. And, you know, you got to think back to that move that Sanchez tried to put in him coming down into the penultimate corner. I said it at the time. I thought that's just a lack of a brain move, for lack of a better term, from Sanchez. There was no gap for him to go for. He tried to make the pass work and ended up ruining another driver's race as a result, even though he got himself P2.
Boris Bolstra there, down in P number 22. He is going to be so unhappy with that.
Yeah, incredibly unhappy, and finishing right at the back of the field, 17 laps down with an instant on the first lap of the event. It's not a way that anyone wants to go out of the event. No one wants to go out of the event full stop, but that is just exactly what has happened to Boris Bolstra. Hopefully he can bounce back from this in his next couple of official races, try and get that iRacing recovered. Let's
take a break here on Racesport TV. Back with more, maybe interviews, definitely a talk about the weekend after this.
The yellow flag is out. Pit road is now open. Keep your eye on those gauges. We'll give you 4 tyres. 3, 2, 1, now. We're done. Get going.
Thank you to Isfan Balau's Track Cams for Gourmets. Check out trackcams22.com. Also to And One Design, the official graphics partner of RaceSpot TV, almost from day number 1. Simon Grossman, overlay animations, appgeneer.in, live timing and scoring as ever provided by the one and only, the incomparable Nick Thiston. Well, for a 4-year birthday race, we had a couple of issues at the start, Connery, but I think we just about made it through.
Yeah, I mean, we could just pass that off as deliberate, harking back to our first broadcast where we had very, very many issues. And, you know, it's 4 years. Just give us a little bit of slack.
We'll make sure the 5th year one will be a little bit better. Or worse, who knows? We've got more racing, though, to come on our 4-year anniversary here on RaceSpot TV and on iRacing Live, though, because as ever, we will have Global Rallycross kicking up your broadcast for a Friday night in America. And, well, Global Rallycross, I mean, it's now a World Championship Series event later on this year. Today, they'll be doing week number 10 of the season down at Phoenix Raceway Rallycross there, Connery.
Yep, they will be. And, yeah, as you said, week number 10, that broadcast being brought to you by Randy Chenoweth and Cameron Walsh. And, well, you know, since the start of the season, it has been the Mitchell de Jong show, but we always have to ask each and every week when will Mitchell not be on that top step of the podium in the feature race. We've got competitors like Sindre Setsos, which have been relatively close on occasion, but they just haven't got quite there yet. And I have to wonder if more drivers will be entering this series as well, knowing that soon there will be a World Championship Series on the line as well.
Yeah, indeed. And talking about World Championship Series, of course, we've got the World of Outlaws late models and the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, both also joining the ranks of the iRacing World Championship Series. Week number 10 of their season in the official iRacing schedule. The late models are at Knoxville. Hey, Johnny, how's it going? And then week number 10 for the Sprint Car Series, that'll be at Volusia.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, I always just if you're going to watch one of those series, we prefer you watch both of them, of course, but if you're just going to watch one of those World of Outlaws series, it's going to be the late models, because those guys are absolutely bonkers. And it's absolutely insane racing. It's close racing. It's sometimes beating and banging, but that is what American dirt oval racing is all about. And it's just fantastic to see the spectacle that those guys put on every single week.
Tomorrow night, we've got ourselves through week number 10 of the Pro Master Championship. That'll be at Le Mans. So, Connery, what we need to do, really, is get ourselves ready for lots of hearing cars going...
I couldn't have put it better myself. I think iRacing needs to hire you to do the special effects, the sound effects of the cars, because, you know, we're recording the engines now. We just get Will to do it.
But a lot of full pace action here, of course, at Le Mans. These cars will be full throttle for a while. Engine cooling could be a bit of a concern for some drivers. But then, of course, things like the Porsche Curbs, for example, these Pro Masters are really going to have to deal well for that section.
Yep, they really are. And a big shout out to Johnny Simone, who always does that broadcast solo commentary, which I would never willingly do if I, you know, I would prefer to have someone with me, but he does an absolutely fantastic job broadcasting that series. And, well, just go ahead and watch it. It's, well, 9:45 in the evening, 17th of February. That's GMT.
Yeah, and then, of course, Sunday night, we finish stuff off with the Skip Barber 2K World Cup presented by DES Simulations. And this time, it will take place at Circuit of the Americas, but not on the Grand Prix layout, Connery, on the West Coast. And that will make things very interesting for some of these drivers.
Yeah, exactly. It's basically taking the best part of the circuit and just doing that over and over again, that first sector, and it's absolutely brilliant. Maybe not many overtaking opportunities on that circuit, but it should be brilliant to watch. And I've noticed that you've deliberately omitted something from your list of series that you're talking about, Will.
Have I?
Daytona.
Oh, yes, we have. I'm blaming Hugo, he didn't put it on the calendar. But Daytona is going to be fast, it's going to be fantastic. And also, what a way to start off the NASCAR iRacing season than by doing 500 miles at Daytona. You know what, actually? We put a couple of the modern day finishes of Daytona. I'm one of those people. I remember Trevor Bain's finish 2011, like literally it's ingrained in my head.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic to see, and hopefully we get a finish like that in the iRacing Daytona 500 as well. I've run in a couple of them over the years myself, and I know how difficult it is to try and slog those races out to the end. But it should be an absolutely fantastic spectacle. Yeah,
that'll be here on Racespot TV and on iRacing Live. That's it. Friday Night Prime Time is in the books. That guy's been Connery Maddock. I'm Will Vincent. Hey, we're 4 years old. Not quite able to drink, so we'll go and drink some milk instead. Talk to you all in a bit.